Welcome to Around the Track, the most exciting 15 minutes in wealth management by Dynasty Financial Partners and hosted by CEO Shirl Penney.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Track, the most exciting 15 minutes in wealth management. I'm super excited about this episode because I'm being joined by one of my dear friends in the RIA space, Marty Bicknell, who is the founder and CEO of Mariner. Marty, thanks so much for being here with me today.
Shirl, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
All right, look, Marty, you know the rules, and look, you've been to Saratoga. You've sat on the track that's behind me, so you know that's a mile oval, and there's 8 furlongs in a mile. And the rule is we've got to keep this conversation to less than 15 minutes. And we're going to ask 8 questions, one for each of the furlongs represented on the track behind me. So with that, let's jump in. Obviously, as you know in racing, it's all about how you break from the gate. So let's break from the gate strong. Easy question to help you do that. Tell us a little bit about Marty, your background, and maybe share something that people don't know about you.
Yeah, great. Happy to. So I was actually born and raised in a small town in southeast Kansas called Pittsburgh, Kansas. And that Pittsburgh has no H on it. That's the only major distinction. Went to Pittsburgh State University and thought I was going to be a lawyer. I was in pre-law. Got the extremely fortunate opportunity to be an intern at a single practitioner Edward E. Jones office. Worked there all the rest of my college career. Fell in love with the business. Did not go to law school. Moved to Kansas City, which I thought was the big city, and went to work for A.G. Edwards right out of school. I think the one thing that's interesting that people might not know is I've had every job you could have in a branch system. I was receptionist, cashier, wire operator, administrative assistant, sales assistant, advisor trainee, producer, and ended my career as a producing manager.
That's awesome experience, right? To have that firsthand perspective of all the aspects of the business. I didn't know that about you as a friend, so I appreciate you sharing that. So you left, you broke away, I guess we could say, and launched Mariner. Tell us how long ago that was. Tell us a little bit about Mariner now, and I'd be curious to hear. I think it's been about 15 years, give or take. Does the business look today at all like what you thought? If you could have thought forward 15 years ago when you launched it, does it look like what you thought you would have built?
Yeah, so we launched in May of 2006, so this May will be our 15th anniversary. And I mean, the funny answer is no. I mean, it doesn't look. I could not have imagined this at all. I mean, as we sit here today, 42 locations, 700 employees, 350 advisors, and 40 billion in assets.
Wow.
We do taxes. We own our own trust company, insurance general agency. We have our own boutique investment banking firm. So thinking back 15 years ago, I mean, there were 7 of us and 300 million under management. And our only objective was to build something we could be proud of. And, thinking about where we've come, I mean, there's no way I could have dreamed this.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations on that success. And the follow-on question for the third question I would have is, I tell a lot of people that I'm biased because we are friends and you are an investor in Dynasty and full disclosure. But I think you're one of the best CEOs in the RIA space. And what I love, and you shared earlier that you've done so many different roles, but you've been an advisor, right? And you've gone advisor to CEO. And a lot of people who are watching this conversation perhaps are new CEOs, right? They're in that transition phase from advisor to CEO. So let me ask you, what advice would you give to somebody that's making that transition and perhaps becoming a first-time CEO?
Yeah, I think, for me, it would be, focusing on your team. I mean, build a team that enhances your unique ability, and whatever that unique ability is. And for me, I focus on growth, and a lot of my attention is on growth in one form or another.
Yeah.
So surrounding myself with a team that's talented at execution was really, really important for us. And whether you're your strengths, are growth or their execution or whatever, just make sure you're building a team that can support that, and that has the same kind of cultural aspect and vision. But I mean, the bottom line is you have to have a team.
Right. Couldn't agree more with that. Follow-on question is, tell us a little bit more about your leadership style, and how do you think about yourself as an entrepreneur?
I think about it this way. My job is to provide opportunity, opportunity to advance both personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to give people the chance to push their limits and to accomplish things they didn't think were possible. And, as you think about what we talked about before with the growth aspect of it, growth leads to those things, and it gives people the opportunity to kind of maybe expand outside what they thought was possible. And if as a leader of the organization, if you're focused on helping your people grow, only good things can happen.
Yeah, I know that we're both big advocates of the concept of mentoring, and I often talk about mentorship by committee. Right, I'm constantly trying to find as many great mentors across the industry and outside of the industry as possible. And I know for you, one of your best mentors and role models has been your dad. And I'd like to ask you, what have you learned about business or entrepreneurship, leadership over the years from your dad?
There's a long list. He is. He's been a great father. He's been a great mentor. He's an unbelievable individual that is, really helped provide a lot of great opportunity. But I think the number one thing that I would tell you that he taught me early in life is that life is a people business, and you should treat everyone with respect, but always focus on keeping promises. And if that's kind of your number one rule, is to keep promises, then kind of everybody's in your corner.
Yeah, and I know being a business partner of yours, oftentimes we'll agree on something and then we have to remind each other we actually need to paper it. And we say, look, we shook on it, it's good, but we have to go and execute it. And I know with you, your word is your bond, and one of the many things that I really respect about you, Marty.
Thank you.
So let's take a half step back here and let's talk a little bit about the industry, because I know that you're constantly thinking 5 years out, 10 years out, and you have great vision for the space. Let me ask you, what are some of the biggest issues, challenges, and maybe opportunities as well that when you look at our industry, what would you say some of those things might be?
Yeah, and I like the way you said that, because issues and challenges almost always lead to opportunities. I think it's, there's no secret that advisors are getting old, and there are more advisors leaving the business than joining the business. And when you really take a step back and think about that, the number of clients that we need to serve are increasing, and there's going to be an advisor shortage. And there's going to be a few firms that get to take advantage and prosper from that. And so I think everybody in this industry has a responsibility to figure out how to teach and educate that this is a noble profession. Being on the fiduciary side of the fence is noble, and it's a great career, and we're doing good work. So I think the firms that can figure out how to build an advisor attraction model where advisors want to work for that organization, obviously are going to be a step up on everybody. But I think focusing on how to increase your advisor count from unique ways.
Awesome. Yep, and I agree with that. So look, we're turning for home. We're headed into the stretch. Only 2 questions left. Let me ask you a little bit of a different question, because this is something that from time to time we run into, and I would suggest that both you and I, and part of one of the secrets to happiness in life is to marry up, and I think both of us married up, and you work with Shirl, you work with your significant other, your spouse. And oftentimes, we're talking to entrepreneurs that are thinking about, doing the same thing. And at least in terms of what I've observed, you guys are an amazing team, just an incredible partnership. So I'd like to ask you, for anyone who's thinking about working with a significant other, what have you guys done to make that work so well?
I think it starts with, it starts with trust. And trust is an important part of any partnership.
Right.
But especially one where you're spending not only your work life together, but then we're at home together. So there's got to be the boundaries that you have to set for that are important. But what I read a book really early in my career that was called Blueprint to $1 Billion. And it talks about this concept called inside outside leadership. And having an individual that is obviously focused on growth and having someone inside the organization that's focused on execution. But the two people have to be able to understand what the other one is thinking and doing. And frankly, I could do Shirl's job. Shirl can do my job. But the fact that we're both understand those components and then don't have to micromanage it on either side. And I think when I first met you, it's not your spouse, but you have a similar relationship with Ed. You guys just know what each other are going to say and what you're going to do. In any partnership, if you're going to have a successful inside outside leadership team, I think that has to exist, and I'm extremely lucky that it happens to be my wife.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thanks for that, Marty. All right, last question. Look, I know you're a fan of racing. You like the sport, the sport. In this time of year, obviously, the teams in racing, the owners, the trainers, the jockeys, the grooms, the whole team is gearing up for the whole run towards the Triple Crown, right? They're starting with the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness, Belmont Stakes, et cetera. So I'd like to ask you, as we close out this time together, what's your big goal? What's your Kentucky Derby, right? That you look out on the horizon, that you and your team are really focused on trying to achieve?
So, Shirl, people say that Mariner is a big firm. And you think Mariner, you think, creative planning, Hightower Focus, you name them, right? We're
Dynasty.
not big firms. We're not big firms. There isn't an RIA that has 12,000, 15,000 advisors like UBS or Merrill or whoever. And there will be one, and likely more than one. And there's no reason Mariner Wealth Advisors can't be one of those firms. And the idea of building a true fiduciary advisor practice that has 3, 5, 10,000 advisors, I want to be part of that. And that's what I'm running so hard to accomplish.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. Look, we're headed towards the Kentucky Derby, as I mentioned, where we're going to see competing some of the best athletes. The horses are incredible athletes, and the jockeys competing in the next couple of months. And Marty, I think you're one of the best corporate athletes in America. So thanks so much for being with us on Around the Track. And thank you to all of you, the viewers, for joining us on another episode of Around the Track.